Say hello.
Hello?
Say my name is Lyosha Gusev.
My name is Lyosha Gusev.
Hello, I am Tatiana, Alexei's mother. We have a diagnosis of craniosynostosis of the skull vault. The brain has two hemispheres, yes, we know that. And in our case, one was compressed and the other was living, meaning it was developing normally. And since the brain, by the age of 2, that is, after 1 year, starts to grow intensively in a child, we had intensive growth, but there was nowhere for it to grow. Because in fact, only 1/2 of the head was developed. The brain wanted to live so much, apparently the body wanted to live so much, that the brain made 11 through holes in the skull vault, and under the skin, through these holes, it was pulsating and holding on. In this way, the brain's vessels were able to bore through the bone forcefully. But at first, when he was little, the deformation wasn't so noticeable. It became more pronounced and started to stick out as he grew, as they say. When he was born, they immediately noticed something was off. They suggested various reasons, such as getting squished during a C-section delivery or being pulled out incorrectly, but assured me it can happen sometimes. They told me that everything would pass, everything would smooth out, but of course I didn't just sit and wait. I immediately went to manual therapists, like in a little bundle. He was brought there to the manual therapist in the center of Moscow. We went to the center to see the best therapist, or at least that's what we thought. And in the end, one manual therapist told us, guys, don't spend any more money. I actually feel sorry for you now. He said, I guarantee you that by the time he's 1.5 years old, everything will be fine, everything will go away. But when you get guarantees from people who seem to be knowledgeable, it turns out that we were just left hanging. The thing is, he constantly had issues in the area of his head, and the intracranial pressure, as I understand it, was unreal, just like the doctor said. He was constantly rubbing his head with a soft blanket, getting very angry, and hitting his head with his fist. He exhibited rare symptoms, being one of only 3 known cases worldwide with such deformities. In Russia and the Commonwealth of Independent States, she is the sole individual with this condition. I asked Professor Belchenko, the founder of the school in Russia, and there are no definitions, not even in the United States. They say it's like GMOs in food. So that's the only theory, but how do we know? We were diagnosed just by a photo. The thing is, I wrote to all the doctors once I got their contacts, and everyone responds very quickly. The first to reply was Mikhail Vladimirovich Tolobayev, head of our National Research Center for Pediatric Care in Minsk. After him, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and many others like Spain and Germany responded. Basically, everyone replied. I didn't work during my maternity leave, but when my baby was 7 months old and I was still seeking a diagnosis, I returned to work part-time to provide for the family. I have a daughter, a son, and it's just me. And today he has some more good news. He's going to visit his dad. Yeah, that's right. So he's picking him up. He's taking his son to his place for the weekend. Well, at least that's something.
Hi guys, my name is Sasha and I'm making the video projects Being Young and Being a Mom for You. We're very glad that you enjoyed the story about the incredible mom Svetlana and the fairy Elvira, so we're happy to share with you the story of Tatiana and Lesha. By the way, if there are any topics you'd like to learn a little more about, feel free to write in the comments. We try our best to read everything and to find heroes as quickly as possible. Let's get 25,000 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend our story more often. See you soon.
So in one clinic, they actually told us that we were inoperable, that was it. They gave the child a diagnosis right away as soon as we walked in, and that was it. But I didn't give up, I kept going. I decided for myself that my motherly instinct should guide me when choosing a doctor, because basically they all, promised the same thing. And he went to our doctor himself. I mean, he was drawn to his watch, his glasses, he felt something, and somehow he just got attached to him. And that was the first kind of basically such a manifestation. I told myself I wouldn't look for anyone else because this surgery is exactly what I need. However, they only inform you if you can have the surgery after thoroughly examining your blood vessels. That could have happened too. I mean, they could have just told us no, and that would be it, and we simply wouldn't be alive in this world. The first surgery was a complete skull reconstruction, and then over the next 3 months, they put in titanium plates for us. Titanium plates are a whole set of little plates with tiny screws that are screwed into all these fragments to hold them together so the framework can fuse. Despite the term plate, these components are very thin, with tiny millimeter-sized screws that are barely noticeable, similar to assembling a mobile phone. But of course, there are quite a few of them in there, because the whole skull needs to be fixed, so all the seams are secured with little plates and 2 screws, just like how we fasten or repair things. Actually, the surgery involved the entire skull, so it was a complete reconstruction of the whole skull. The bulging part that we had, the doctor sawed it off. He put it in the place where the forehead was missing. On one side, we didn't have a forehead. So he built up the brow ridges, yes, and put it in place of the forehead. And the part he sawed off, the bone that was shaped like a forehead but didn't look like one, there was just a sunken bone. He rebuilt it back. And with these little fragments, some are 3 or 4 centimeters, some are smaller, like little triangles, just like patches. That's basically how our whole skull was put together.
They molded a new skull, yes?
And when the doctor came out after the first surgery, he said, "Hi, Tanya, I just didn't want to say anything, but, well, it was just a critical situation. If we had molded something out of cartilage when she was born, figuratively speaking, they would have made a perfectly smooth head. But since we did it when she was already a year and a month old, the bones had completely ossified. I didn't shed a single tear. I had no right to. I kept moving forward, and I knew I would succeed. And even when he was in the intensive care unit when we were separated, I was in the ward, he was in intensive care, I would just in a commanding way tell him to get better, to wake up immediately, that I needed him here with me in the ward. All of this is passed on because children are deeply connected to their parents one way or another. Our heads actually fused together over the course of 2.5 months. No one thought it would happen this quickly, but the doctor said, "Since you have such regeneration, we'll do a second surgery." I immediately agreed to do it. So it turned out that we did a second complex reconstruction, removed one titanium implant and put in another titanium implant, another set of titanium, and I spent another 3 months with the titanium. And I was already kind of preparing him, like I showed him in the mirror that his head was uneven. In April, he turned 3 years old. Then in May, he told me something that I even wrote down. "Mom, it's okay that my head is uneven. I'll grow up. I'll definitely invent something and the whole world will love me." I was in shock, wiping away my tears. Yes, that's a 3-year-old child, capable of having such thoughts.
Lyosha, besides, let's say the shape of his skull, is he different in any other way from other 3-year-old children?
Yes, due to increased brain activity, he's very smart, likely because of his experiences. We go to kindergarten, but right now, if you ask him, he'll tell you why he doesn't go. "Lyosha, why don't you go to kindergarten?" Children at this age don't understand yet. They don't have concepts or ideas like that, or a sense of aesthetics yet. That only starts when they become teenagers. And with kids in kindergarten, he will be on par with his peers. They will all adjust to him and treat him normally at school. But of course, there will be some other kids, outsiders, who come in, of course, yes. That's why my goal, of course, is to enroll him in some kind of wrestling so he can stand up for himself. We were very unlucky in Moscow during the second surgery, the complicated one. A fire erupted at the large Morozovskaya hospital, trapping us inside. Yes, it was even in the newspapers, on the news and everything. And they started evacuating the whole hospital. Yes, everyone. The Morozovskaya Children's Hospital is actually an enclave, you know. We had to remove everything, including the intravenous from the child. Fortunately, we were nearly finished. And so we had to carry the child after surgery down the street wrapped in a blanket. We were evacuated from one department to another, but in the morning everyone returned and all was well. As they told me, you saved us, you noticed the smoke, and I started raising the alarm there. And the third was the actual removal of the titanium plates. The first surgery lasted 8 hours, the second 9 hours, and the third almost 7 hours. It was a long time, and your whole life flashes before your eyes. Oh, I am truly grateful to the people of Belarus. In these moments, you realize that we are all one, because people wrote to me from all cities. I was getting messages from everywhere. We have been waiting for 6 years. 6 years. The facial skeleton is forming. That is, I will be able to see all the imperfections. I mean, not me, the doctor, of course. The deformation we have is called the Vikrov system. It's like a wrung-out towel, completely twisted like this. So the face also got involved and participated in the deformation. That's why our eyes are uneven, all these eye sockets and everything. So they had to build up a huge arch for us. We didn't have any brow, nothing at all. Why is surgery necessary? Because right now it might not be so noticeable to others, but it's very visible, very obvious in the mirror. And the reflection is actually very sad. And when my son grows up, I just don't want him to say to me, "Why did you have the opportunity, but you didn't do anything about it?" I don't have the right, so I have to do it. And it's also interesting, in Moscow right now, they're actively installing implants. Well, besides the well-known ones, I mean, now they're actually putting implants in people's heads. And they only do head alignment starting at 18 years old. And there are thousands of people. I read this doctor's website and I was just shocked. Like thousands of people have uneven heads, but it's all hidden by hair, one way or another. I believe that this child simply had to live because he is a really, really awesome kid. There was never, not even for a moment, a time when I thought about something bad, about the worst. No, I was always sure that everything would be fine. I knew it.
We wouldn't have been there. I mean, we were already too late.
Being the mother of the youngest child is a test of your inner strength, a journey along some victorious path to the finish line. Because basically our kids are just like everyone else. They're simply miracle kids. So I wish all mothers to feel confident and keep going until victory.